This is Suna coming with you to read A Course of Love, Part 6. Course of Love was brought to us by Marie Perron, a sequel to A Course in Miracles that Helen Schumann had brought to us. So I start again with the last paragraph of the 5th reading and then continue on. The way to overcome the dualism that threatens even the most astute of learners is through the Christ in you, through the one who knows what it is to be God's child, and also to walk the earth as a child of man. This is not your helper as the Holy Spirit is, but your identity, while the Holy Spirit was properly called upon to change your perception and show you the false from the true. Your recognition of the Christ in you is proper in this time of identification of your undivided self. So let us for the moment speak of the family of God in terms of the family of man. In short, that you will recognize. In the family of man, there are many families, but it is called one family, the family of man. It is called one species, the human species. Within this family of man are individual families, and among them, that which you call your family. A family has many members, but is also called one family. All of its members are descended from the same ancestors, the same bloodline. Within that bloodline are genes that carry particular traits and predispositions. A child of one family may resemble the child of another distant relative, or a relative who lived and died many years previously. You see nothing odd or foreign in this. This is the nature of family, as you understand family. And beyond the physical nature of families, the bloodlines and the ancestors, what holds the family together as one is love. The family is, in fact, the only place where unconditional love is seen as acceptable. Thus, no matter how good one child is perceived to be, or how bad another is perceived to be, the love of the parent for the child is the same. A son or daughter does not earn the love that is given him or her, and this too is seen as acceptable, or even right. Obviously, the nature of God is different than the nature of man. God does not have physical form and does not produce physical offspring. God does, however, have a son, a child, an offspring, who must exist in some form like unto the Father. Within the story of the human race, there's a man. Within the story of the human race, there is a story about the coming of God's Son, Jesus Christ, who was born, grew into a man, died, and rose again to live on in some form other than that of a man. Those who believe the story have accepted that Jesus was God's Son before he was born, while he walked the earth, and after he died and resurrected. Whether this is your belief or not, it comes close to the truth in a form that you can understand. Jesus is simply the example life, the life that demonstrated what it means to be God's child. And now I'm going to add a little excerpt from the book Being that is one of my favorites on humanity as we're talking about the family of man. It gives you an insight into some of the thoughts of this book. If you can accept the first concept in this book, accept your experience is real, then multiply the individual reality times 1 billion, and we have the reality of humanity. I remembered an incident when someone asked my father about his native country, Turkey. The person asked, on what side of the road do they drive, the right or the left? My father's answer was, yes, both. I relate that to, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Yes, both. Theologically, is the Trinity one being in 3 expressions or 3 separate beings? Well, the answer is yes, both. A medical, ethical question Does life begin at conception or when the baby first responds to another human being? Yes, both. The intellectual categorization of if a thing is this, it is not that, is a level of thinking that attempts to restrict perception of a real experience. Some of us think that reality is confined to a time and space package of common knowledge. All that is created is real. All experience is real. Emotions may pull a person in one direction, yet when he acts according to his higher thinking, the act makes collective history, and the inner emotions remain within a person's personal history. Courage, for example, is doing the right thing while experiencing the emotion of fear. Cowardness is following the emotion into retreat, avoidance, or lower mind, animal instinct action. The act is what makes collective history. The inner experience remains in personal history. So each of us, each of the billions of people who walk or walked the earth, has a reality of his or her personal experience, a personal history. All these billions of personal histories have common things that correspond to all humanity. While they all seem different, yes, they all really exist. Humanity is both a common experience and a collection of individual experiences. Is reality the common experience or the individual experience? My answer is yes, both. And here is the chapter. Well, we will return tomorrow to A Course of Love, brought to us by Marie Perron, in our next reading. And for today, have a beautiful, blessed day with love and joy and blessings. Blessings, blessings.